Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A civil disobedience movement in Myanmar is gaining momentum with teachers and students protesting against Monday's military coup. Demonstrators at a university in the biggest city, Yangon, chanted support for jailed leader Aung San Suu Kyi and wore red ribbons, her party's colour. Ms Suu Kyi and other leaders have been held since the military's coup. Myanmar has remained mostly calm in the aftermath of the coup, which has plunged the Southeast Asian country into uncertainty. Hundreds of teachers and students gathered outside Yangon University, where they displayed the three-finger salute, a sign that has been adopted by protesters in the region to show their opposition to authoritarian rule. The US House of Representatives has voted to expel a Republican Congresswoman from 2 committees over incendiary remarks she made before being elected last November. Marjorie Taylor Greene had promoted baseless QAnon conspiracy theories and endorsed violence against Democrats.
A lot of Americans don't trust our government.
Before the vote, she said she regretted her views, which included claims that school shootings and the 9/11 attacks were staged. 11 Republicans joined the Democrats to pass the motion. It means she can now not take up her place on the Education and Budget committees. The US is to end its support for offensive operations by its allies in Yemen, which has been devastated by a 6-year war in which more than 110,000 people are believed to have died.
America is back.
Under Mr. Biden's 2 predecessors, the US backed a coalition led by Saudi Arabia against Houthi rebels in Yemen. The conflict has left millions of Yemenis on the brink of starvation. Mr. Biden announced other changes to US foreign policy, such as a significant increase in the number of refugees accepted by the US. Alexei Navalny has returned to court for a slander trial on the same day that the EU's top diplomat arrives in Moscow for talks with Russia's foreign minister. Mr. Navalny, who is President Vladimir Putin's most prominent critic, was jailed this week for almost 3 years for parole violations that he calls fictitious. In a second charge, he is accused of slandering a World War II veteran who appeared in a pro-Putin video.
For the sanctions, there is no proposal by the time being.
The European Union has told Russia the case against Mr. Navalny is a low point in their relations after a meeting between EU Foreign Affairs Chief Josep Borrell and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Moscow. The EU threatened new sanctions over Navalny's case. Communities hit by a dam disaster in Brazil 2 years ago, which killed 270 people, will get a $7 billion payout. The Brumadinho Dam contained waste from an iron ore mine, but gave way in January 2019, unleashing a sea of mud which engulfed a staff canteen, offices and farms. Senior staff at the company responsible, Brazilian mining giant Vale, are facing murder charges over the January 2019 disaster. In a company statement, Vale said it wanted to fully compensate for the disaster. The state government said the amount was an initial estimate and the company would have to pay more if necessary. Thousands of fish have mysteriously washed up on a shore in southern Chile amid fears changes in water temperature and water quality may have been the cause. Locals alerted authorities to the incident, with authorities launching an inquiry. Other marine creatures, including crabs, were also washed up. The government's National Fishing Service said they also found chlorophyll on the beach, which can deplete oxygen levels in water if found in large quantities. Scientists believe they may have discovered the smallest reptile on Earth, a chameleon subspecies that is the size of a seed. 2 of the tiny lizards were discovered by a scientific expedition team in Madagascar. The male Brucacea nana, or nano chameleon, has a body of just 13.5 millimeters. This makes it the smallest of around 11,500 known species of reptiles. Its length from top to tail is 22 millimeters. The female is far bigger at around 29 millimeters, but other specimens have not yet been located, according to the scientists, despite great effort. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.